Hello, welcome. I am excited to be here today talking a little bit about emotional abuse. So the reason why I wanted to talk about emotional abuse today is because it's so silent and subtle. You know, I've talked in the past about these negative cycles that we get stuck in relationships, you know, when one tends to withdraw, someone else tends to go and fight, and we kind of get to establish these cycles that just go round and round. But sometimes there's something more going on. Now, with physical abuse, it's kind of, you know, it's more obvious because there's physical, there's punches, there's hitting. So that's kind of easier to see, to recognize. But emotional abuse is not. The weapon used for physical abuse would be your hands or, something physical, but in emotional abuse, it's the emotion itself. And that's why it is so hard to see, both for the person that is being abusive and also for the person that's being abused. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about it and just give you some examples and maybe ask some questions that could get you thinking. If there's anyone that or maybe you might be involved in an abusive relationship. So let me ask you some quick questions, and you just think about it in your relationship, when you with your partner. So when your partner is about to arrive home or to get where you are, wherever you are, do you feel nervous? Do you find yourself just making sure that everything is perfect, or that you have to, either be you, presented yourself perfectly, or things around you perfect, just to avoid some anger, or it can be either intensive anger or it can be withdrawal. Both of those are ways of manipulating the other person. That's kind of the weapon, the emotional either outburst, anger, or shutting down and withdrawing love and care, right? Do you sometimes get to believe that you should be treated the way that you're treated? So here's the thing. When there's emotional abuse, because it's so hard for the abuser to recognize that what he's doing, right, or she, they tend to put it all on the other person. So you make me feel angry. You make me angry. So the way that I'm responding to you makes perfect sense. They justify everything. You are crazy. You're crazy for saying those things. You're crazy for believing those things. And you get to the point where you are asking yourself, am I really crazy? Is there something wrong with me? Do you sometimes find yourself not expressing your feelings or your thoughts for fear of them not being recognized, or you being told that you're crazy, or being, causing a lot of anger and outbursts? That's important, because then you start to, withdraw completely. Your self-esteem goes down. You start questioning yourself. You start feeling bad about yourself. And that's where this dynamic, where one has more control over the other person, starts. And it becomes a very, very negative cycle, and a very difficult to break. And again, very difficult to see. So let me ask you more questions. So I've told you about the you feeling crazy, right? Being told that you're crazy, being belittled, being constantly, or shamed in public, name calling, insults. All those are ways of emotional and psychological abuse. When you feel little, when you feel so vulnerable, so worthless. And you start to believe that, right? Yeah. That maybe there is something wrong with me, or maybe I do make him or her, angry. Maybe it's all on me, and I, in a way, deserve to be treated that way, right? So we kind of, again, without knowing, right, without recognizing, we put ourselves in that position, allowing the cycle to continue. Does he or she ever blame you for his or her unhappiness? So you are the cause of my unhappiness. You are the cause of my feelings, right? You make me angry. You make me sad. You make me depressed. You make me angry. It's all on you. I can't take responsibility for my own actions, for my own behaviors. Do you feel that you have to have sex? Sex is a very important here because sex can also be used as a tool of manipulation. You know, when you have to do something that you really don't want to do, right? Or you don't feel that you want to be intimate with this person because you don't feel safe with this person. Yet you have to, in order to avoid outbursts, or that person getting angry at you, or that person not talking to you anymore, right? Because that is something that you should do for that person. Does he or she control where you are, where you go, who you go out with, what you're doing, contact you all the time to make sure, you know, that he or she knows everything about you? And even sometimes, you know, kind of controlling how much time you spend with others, right? So you're spending too much time with your siblings, or you're with your friends, or with your mom, or whomever, right? Kind of controlling that, where you would want to go out, but you feel that you can't, right? Because he or she will get mad, and you want to avoid that. So you find yourself kind of isolating yourself from all the support system that you might have, right? And also with this isolation comes sharing how you know, what is happening to you. When we are in an abusive relationship, be it emotional or be it physical, right? Deep inside, we know something deep inside does not feel good, like your gut tells you, right? But again, I feel guilty. I'm ashamed, you know, of opening up. So we do end up isolating ourselves. And in this relationship, that's just you and your partner, right? And you end up feeling worse and worse about yourself and feeling more stuck in this place. And what happens when we are in a relationship that's dysfunctional is that it does lead to it has effects psychologically and physically, right? So psychologically, it leads to intense anxiety. It leads to, it can lead to depression. It can lead to substance abuse, right? It can lead to any type of addictive behavior. So just ways that we can, you know, distract ourselves from feeling this, you know, trapped and controlled. And also physically, right? It can lead to gastrointestinal issues, circulatory issues. We have a lot of, you know, migraines, headaches. All those are also physical symptoms of things that are happening inside of you. All these emotions that you're not being able to express or even process. And many times, again, you don't even realize what's happening. One thing that's important to also to see in abusive relationships is that they have cycles, right? So abusive relationships there's kind of this intense moment where things are really bad, right? And it's like explosive. And then they seem to get better, right? So the person that's usually, you know, the perpetrator, the one that explodes or withdraws or whatever, feels bad or feels guilty, you know, I'm so sorry. And they can be extremely loving, right? And very nice so that this other person says, well, they'll change, they're changing, yes, this can, and now I can see that, and yes, it's getting better, and then again, it's all explosive, and then it gets better, and they feel sorry, and then again. So watch out for those cycles. Usually individuals that kind of get stuck in this, so there's two, right, in the cycle. There's the person that's the abuser, right, that of course uses control as a way to feel loved, right? So there's insecurity here. And then there's the abused, right, that also has, feels very insecure about him or herself, right, and feels that, oh, I don't want to fight, I don't want to make things worse, so I can, I kind of have to take this. And usually there has been a past, right? There have been other relationships that have been similar. I mean, there's a place where we've learned to relate with others in this way. So it's important to take a look at the whole picture, be it you here and this one where you're like, oh, maybe I'm stuck in that place where I want to control, right? And I need to control to feel loved. I need for the other person to do what I want them to do because that's the way that I feel loved, right? When they are their own independent person, I feel abandoned or rejected, right? Or be it that you're in this other place, right? Like feeling that, oh, I don't want to, stir the pot. I don't want to make things worse. I'll just kind of take it. So just notice those positions and see if you can notice something going on in your relationship. And deep inside, we know there's kind of an inner wisdom that we are so blind and deaf to, but deep inside, we know this does not feel good. So what about me in this, right? What about me that's kind of perpetrating this little cycle? So what do we do if we find ourselves in this relationship, right? In a relationship that's abusive. So the first thing, like I always say, is awareness, right? We have to accept this. Usually it is easier to accept this from the person that's abused, right, than the abuser. It is very difficult to see, to recognize, right? And one thing that's really important is to recognize that we can only change ourselves. When we enter a relationship, we have this idea, there's things that we don't like about our partner, when they're too angry or, they tend to withdraw and just shut down and stop talking for days or whatever it is that they do. And we think, no, with my love, it'll change and everything will change. And we have all these ideas. And the thing is that we work so hard trying to change the other person. And that just makes all this cycle worse. It's important to recognize that we need to be aware of how we feel. We need to be aware of how we relate. And just we, are the only ones that can change ourselves. Our partner needs to change, to grow, to see, and we cannot do that for them. The more we try, the worse it seems to get. That's kind of their journey, right? So it's this growing up as two individuals that can be individual, right? You can be two people that grow, that sprout. You can do it together, but you need to be your own little person. So if you find yourself in this type of relationship, I really urge you to look for professional help. It's always easier to hear things from someone outside. And sometimes even, the therapist can tell you something, or your partner. They're like, no, I don't like that. It can be too out there, too raw. You might not be ready to see. But work on yourself. Figure out what is happening with you. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be loved. I hope this information is useful. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I will be talking a little bit about narcissism, and I'll be talking also about passive aggressiveness in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Until next time.